Now, look, I travelled up the M1 during the week to catch up with a good mate of mine, Billy Coffey, who's a pretty handy rugby player up there in Newcastle, a very proud Novocastrian himself, and he's involved with a club called the Wanderers, who I had the pleasure of sharing a few beverages with on the Saturday night after they played a game out at Maitland, and I will say came away very impressive winners in the end. But look, they're doing some pretty special things up there at the moment, and I wanted to let you know because some of these young blokes don't really get the exposure and the credit that they deserve. He's doing a wonderful thing up there, and he's come up with the idea of a performance factory. And I mean, you hear of a performance factory, it sounds like what the V8 supercars use to improve their performance. But what Billy does is he works with the younger blokes, and it's all about producing better players, but even better people. And this is all at the Performance Factory. Now, Billy spent a couple of years over in the United States training with NFL players to sharpen his tools, and he's returned to bring his knowledge to Australia. And it's coached and organised by the famous Todd Louden, who some may know was involved in the Super Rugby circuit. Those involved in rugby know Todd. He's a good bloke. And an interesting fact about Billy Coffey. But what about this? Since he started the strength training rugby teams in Newcastle, he's lost 3 games in total over 3 seasons. That's including the first club to go through undefeated with Merewether Carlton 2011. So pretty impressive for a local lad. It's what Australia really needs in country rugby, and I've been whinging and banging on the door of the ARU for a long, long time to start doing something like what Billy and Todd are doing up there at Newcastle with the Wanderers. So, Bill Pulver, if you're listening, maybe you should head up to Newcastle and visit the Performance Factory. You might be able to take a leaf out of the book of 2 young blokes who are doing wonderful things for rugby union up there in Newcastle. Well done to all concerned, including Billy Coffey and Todd Louden. And don't worry, fellas, I'll be making the trip up the M1 shortly. So maybe there's a beer in it for me as well. Although, having spent some quality time with a lot of the Wanderers up there during the week, what's that old saying? They wouldn't shout if you shot them. Good on you, boys, the Wanderers and the Performance Factory. Look it up. They're onto something special.